Time traveling through genetic memories. Who doesn't love the idea of time traveling? Well, physically moving back in time isn't impossible, but we can travel through time using our genetic information. Our ancestor adaptations, experiences, responses to the challenges are encoded in the DNA through epigenetics. What is epigenetics? Epigenetics is the study of gene expressions without altering the DNA sequence. I'll share some research studies on how our ancestor experiences caused epigenetic and that inherited to the next generations. Number one, the survivors. Whoever survived from the World War II, they experienced severe anxiety, trauma, stress, and starvation. All these conditions presented in the regulation of their cortisol levels. Cortisol. Cortisol is a hormone which helps in our stress responses. The trauma experienced by the survivors led to epigenetic changes and that were passed down to their next generations too. The studies found that the children and grandchildren of the survivors had lower level of cortisol. Even the offspring didn't experience the trauma themselves. Changes in cortisol levels and other health impacts were does not due to changes in DNA sequence, but it is due to epigenetic changes in gene expressions. These research studies shows that somehow the anxiety, stress, trauma, all these inherited from the survivors to the offspring and to their next generations too. Number two, another research was conducted on mice, conducted by Emory University of Medicine, and they found that mice can pass on the learned information and traumatic events to their next generations. The adult mice were exposed to smell a chemical called acetophenone. Researchers used to give a mild shock treatment to the mice whenever they used to smell this chemical. Over the time, the mice started showing the fear responses even without the shock treatment, and this fear was passed down to their offspring. Despite all this, researchers exposed the offspring mice to the chemical for the first time. Even so, the offspring mice showed similar fear responses as their grandparents. This research shows that somehow the fear responses of the mice inherited to their offspring and to their next generation too. All these experiments provide a strong evidence that certain fears, learned behaviors, environmental changes can be passed down through generations through epigenetic changes. It highlights how experiences, especially traumatic ones, fear ones, can leave a lasting imprint on genes that influences future generations. And the experiments of one generation can biologically influence the health and well-being of next generations. All these effects were due to epigenetic modifications in gene.